So there's thousands of people who are moving to Florida from all around the world.
From those breathtaking beaches to a jump in new jobs, Florida is booming, attracting more new residents from across the country than any other state in America.
And one of the things you should know before you move to Florida is that it's very hot.
Now here to Miami, one of so many cities suffering through this life-threatening coast-to-coast heat wave. Temperatures right here in the triple digits showing no sign of ending. We saw for ourselves today just how intense it really is.
Well, hi, my name's Luis Mendez. I'm a realtor here in Florida. And I know it sounds completely silly to say, well, duh, it's hot. But let me talk about the heat first, because I do get a lot of people who move here from up north. And then after they experience the summer with us, they want to move right back to where they came from. So our heat that you may not be familiar with is we have a very humid climate.
Temperatures were in the 90s and it was hot. It didn't feel miserably muggy outside like it does in the summer. That extra humidity can be dangerous. In this week's Exploring the Atmosphere with Alyssa, I'm breaking down how the summer humidity affects us worse than dry heat. So starting off, our normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees. If your body temperature rises above that, it finds a way to cool down. It allows for that heat to escape your body through sweat. I know, gross, right? However, it is an important process to help you reduce your body temperature. When you sweat, it evaporates. Evaporation is a cooling process, so it helps naturally cool your body down. So let's talk about dry heat versus humid heat. Dry heat is heat that occurs when we have low humidity levels, like this past week. With such little moisture in the air, sweat can easily evaporate quickly and cools down our body. The issue is with humid air. We have all this extra moisture in the air blocking the sweat from evaporating, essentially holding it down to your skin. And with the extra moisture, the cooling process doesn't work as efficiently as it does in dry heat. So now here in the coastal empire and low country, if we have a day in the summer that's 94, 95 degrees, we can easily get a heat index of 105 degrees or higher. If we have all the extra moisture in place, which we normally do, instead of that sweat evaporating off our body and cooling us down, we only get hotter and hotter.
To put that into perspective, it's like it'll be 10 o'clock at night, sometimes during the summer, and you could still feel like it's 80, 90 degrees outside. It'll be really hot. Sometimes after a storm, if you're out at night, you could still see the steam rising from the ground. In Florida, it gets really hot, so it's really it's a thing you should just have in the mindset so it doesn't catch you off a surprise. If you're coming from the west, out in the west, it does get way hotter than Florida, but it's a dry heat. And some people are like, they're cool with that until they experience 90 degrees here and they're sweating nonstop. I mean, it's sometimes it's a little TMI. You'd be showering, and right when you get out of the shower, you're sweating. It's that hot in Florida. It's just humid all the time. But don't let that, scare you off. One of the things to combat the really, humid heat is to have a tumbler. Always carry, I have quite a few different of these. Always have some ice cold water with you. If you're up north during the winter, it gets so cold you have to bundle up, put so many layers. Sometimes it's so cold you can't even go outside. Well, in Florida, it doesn't matter how hot it got. So as long as you got some cold water, you could deal with the heat. It's not too bad. So don't let the heat scare you off. You will get used to it, and in fact, you'll love it. I loved it way more than the cold. I mean, it gets to a point where when it's 70 degrees outside, I think that's starting to get cold. So that's how much you start to love the heat. And plus, the good side is when it's hot, there's a lot of good things you get to do outside. Another way to combat the heat is try to focus on wearing bright colors. A lot of people will, they come here, it's kind of, when it's darker colors, it'll seem a little, keeps you looking slim, of course, but if you go to Miami, you would see a lot of people wearing bright colors, white pants and, yellow shirts and whatnot. So here in Florida, if you want to fight the heat, don't wear dark color clothes. You want to have brighter clothes, that won't, absorb the heat in you. Also, wear breathable clothing. It's not going to make sense if you're having leather, you're wearing leather a lot of synthetics here in Florida because it's really hot. You want to make sure the clothes that you're wearing is breathable. You're going to sweat. Trust me. It gets hot. So you want to make sure your clothes is really breathable. This is, what I love about this, if it gets wet, because we have these rainstorms that happen like at 4 o'clock every day. Get wet, but it'll dry off really quick. It keeps you nice and cool. And another thing, too, to keep cool during the summer is to go for a swim. Whether you have a pool, there's many public pools you could go to, water parks, or beaches, or my favorite, going to the springs. Man, if you go to the springs here in Florida, it could be like 200 degrees outside, which of course never gets that hot, but the springs are 72 degrees year round, and when you jump into that water, it's so nice and cool where you look forward to the heat all the time. In fact, when it gets to like 70 or 60 degrees or anywhere below that, you get kind of bummed out. But when it's really hot, it even makes the going to the cold springs so much more enjoyable. Well, thank you for watching. Again, before we move to Florida, think about the heat. Like I said, I have a buyer who moved down here, and it was just too much of the heat. They didn't prepare, and now they're selling their home. They're looking to head back up north. They just couldn't beat this. Don't let that be you. When you move down here, embrace the heat, and you'll love it. Thank you for watching.